This story focuses on the Zero Units, who are squadrons of Afghan Special Forces soldiers who were funded and armed and directed by the CIA to go after threats against the United States. And these soldiers were joined on operations by US Special Operations Forces soldiers also. And what I found when I went to Afghanistan was that there was failures of intelligence, which was leading these forces to target and kill civilians. This story was really about a search for answers and accountability. And it's also a story about the legacy of trauma that America left behind in Afghanistan. And it's told by Afghans who never had their losses acknowledged. So I was traveling across Eastern Afghanistan to meet with eyewitnesses, survivors, families of victims, as well as the soldiers going on these operations, to hear from everyone involved what was happening on these night raids. And everyone was facing different risks to talk to me for this story. And the families of the victims and the eyewitnesses and the survivors faced huge risks to come forward and talk to me, as did the soldiers who were going on these operations. And it all began in 2019 under the former Republic government, when these Zero Units were going out on operations almost every night. So it took a lot of thought and planning to consider how to meet people where they had the space to feel safe to tell their stories, and also for the soldiers to be able to sneak out to meet with me, to tell me what they were doing in real time on these operations. There has been no accountability for these Zero Units and what happened in Afghanistan. And I reached out to 42 members of Congress to ask them what Congress knew about these operations that were receiving the support of the CIA, and to ask them about the kind of legal loopholes that these units fell into, as they weren't U.S. military counterterrorism operations, but they fell under the umbrella of the CIA and Title 50 operations. And those who I spoke with were startled at the findings and at the civilian death toll that I'd found during the 4 years of reporting. It's a super difficult story to do, mostly because people are telling you about the worst moment of their lives while they're facing, risks in their lives to come forward and tell you these stories. And a lot of this reporting was really going back to people to hear the stories and build up trust over the course of months and years of meeting with these eyewitnesses and survivors and family members and soldiers. And it is really tough to talk to people particularly people who've never told their stories before to anyone, but also to be really careful with how you're asking questions, and then also, I think the thing for me as a reporter is when you get back after a long day of reporting is when everything really sinks in. And I spend a lot of time in the evening thinking about what I've heard during that reporting and how I'm processing it. And I think you do have to make sure you put time aside to really let what you've spoken to people about sink in, and tell people who know nothing about the story as well, a little bit of what you're feeling, and check in with people like that. So it's a bit of a mix of being careful with how you're asking questions to people who are really, still in a state of shock and trauma of what's happened, and checking in with yourself on how you're processing that yourself also.